Hello, Solocross here, and today we will have a rummage in my ORKY pile of shame, or hoard of opportunity, as I like to call it. So, this is not the whole of my hoard, but just all of the orc stuff that I have queued up for this Projekt MORK. Aside from this, and the Slugger Boys we saw in the last episode, I also have a squad of lovely oldhammer metal orcs on the painting table, which we will look at in the next episode when I have finished painting them. So get yourself subscribed and hit the notification bell to be sure to see that. There will be a link at the end of this episode 2 when it is released. Everything here I have bagged, pre-owned from eBay. Pretty much everything was a significant bargain too. As I mentioned in the last video, I have to be a bit thrifty because I am poor and this hobby is expensive. This Speed Freaks box, for example, I got complete and unpunched for 2/3 the retail price, I think. And then I resold the game board and rules and counters so that the miniatures that I kept only really costed me about £20, which is not bad at all for 6 war bikes and 2 buggies, which on their own would have been around £100, something like that. So here it is, all unboxed and laid out for us to examine closer. At the end of the video, I will put a tally up of what can be made from all this, see how much it can advance us on our Projekt MORK goal of 12,001 points. A lot of the little treasures we dig up today will come back in later videos as we paint and convert them, so keep watching for an idea of what is coming down the pipe. Anywho, let's dig in. First up, Ghazghkull Thracker in metal, assembled and ready for priming. He's a hefty chap indeed. I suppose that as he will be the leader of the Mork Horde, then it could also possibly be Ghazghkull's Orc Wrecking Crew instead of Mega Orc Wrecking Crew. So that would be GORK, GORK, instead. Next up we have another metal named character, this time Captain Badruck. Certainly going to have some freebooters made up to back him up. We will take a quick look at some of the oldhammer Rogue Trader Orks I bagged now, but first, this is the one and only arm sprue that I have for these old orcs. Comparing them with the newer plastic orc arms, and you can see a bit of an issue. The newer arms are considerably larger. The old plastic arms are small because the old metal orcs were smaller than the newer boys. See here, we have 5 old mechs and a paint boy. Many of these old orcs were hybrid metal and plastic kits. They would have the main body in metal, but left an arm or two off at the shoulder to allow an arm from a plastic sprue to go in its place. This enabled what would otherwise be a difficult to customize monopose metal mini to be made with some limited posability and different weapon options. It's a rather awkward compromise between detailed but monopose metal and the slightly lower cost of multi-part plastic for alternative weapon options. Okay, so here are 2 cool, old school weird boys. I especially like the Blood Axe weird boy in the middle with his fancy Napoleonic uniform, complete with epaulettes at the shoulder. His staff is broken, but I do have the other piece somewhere, and it is an easy enough thing to fix. Notice again, they are only one arm. So this is the issue. The metal part of these old minis lasts forever. These dudes were probably cast like 20 or more years ago, and they're still fine. But their crappy plastic arms never last that long. So it is easy enough to find these old armless orcs on eBay, but their arm sprues, not so much. And as we can see, the newer orc arms are far too big. However, all is not quite lost because, as we will see later in this video, we might source plastic arms from other non-orc kits that fit a bit better. And here we have some more oldhammer orcs. These are pretty much all boys, and a lot of them are freebooters, so that will go nicely with Mr. Badrock, seen earlier, Captain Badrock. In contrast to the characters before, these boys mostly have both arms missing. This makes it slightly easier to give them arms from other kits, because at least they do not have to try to match the replacement arm to an integrated metal one. Some of them that have big shoulder pads could even possibly take the newer orc arms, although they'll still look long and a bit oversized. Okay, so now we have some metal knobs. These are not very old models because they are sized and styled very, very like the current plastic orc knobs. I do have their original heads and arm options somewhere too, but they will happily take the plastic equivalents as well, so that is all good. One of the torsos here is actually for a war boss rather than a knob. And this one here is a Stormboy knob. I have some of the other older metal Stormboys to go with him, but they're not seen here. Alright, so now we have 10 plastic black orcs from the fantasy range. These to convert into knobs in heavy armor. Since there were no models for that upgrade option, I gather that in 8th edition that upgrade is no longer available, but I guess I will still do that conversion just for the hell of it. That conversion will come up in a later video in this series, so look out for that. Alright, so now we have the metal minis that came with the big orc Spearhead box. Big mech with shock attack gun. Also, we have a newer weird boy. And 5 tank hunters. We will have a look at some of the third-party bits I have now. and pirate heads. Nice for making freebooters to hang out with Badruck. A couple of bikers' torsos and legs dressed in World War II style clobber. A ton of Spellco resin here. Revolver style sluggers, which will be nice for making low-tech snake bite boys. And an absurdly large number of power claws. Seriously, there are like 12 here. I have plenty of the regular GW ones too, so I should probably sell a few of them. And now some cyborg bodies and heads. There are 8 here, but I also have another one that I have on the table, painting table, with the squad we will be looking at in the next episode. And now we have a squad of grots. It's kit in resin and metal, but I do not know the manufacturer. They are in Soviet style of dress and armed with SMGs, but I am pretty sure they are not one of Cromlech's kits. If anyone knows who makes these little beggars, please let me know in the comments and I would appreciate it. Cromlech do have a Soviet grot squad and I would really like to get it and kit bash it with this kit. I have a ton of bikes. There are 6 in the Speed Freaks box and there are 3 in the Orc Spearhead box. But I also have these old treasures, 4 of the original plastic Orc war bikes from 2nd edition. And they're all still on their sprues. They're not nearly as nice or customizable as the newer plastic kit, but it will be fun to kit bash across the 2 generations of bike. Alright, since we are now into the Speed Freaks box, here are 2 car kits from that box. I do not believe there are any official 7th edition rules for these, as they came out later after the switch to 8th edition, I think. I could use them as is or break them up for making mech gun carriages, trucks and war buggies, I guess. I got them cheap enough just to use them for bits. Speaking of trucks, we have 2 trucks, one on the sprue and this one that I got already assembled and part painted. The assembled one is a Forge World truck, so a lot of its parts are resin. The previous owner did a pretty good job assembling it, although it is missing the gunner. But I will not be keeping the paint job. However, stripping it will be a pain. I will do a video later on with this one. It will be a case study for determining when to paint strip or when to just paint over what is there already. Okay, so we're near the end now. So here we have an old mech gun, a zap gun I think, no crew for it yet, Amongst the tons of bits I have, there are plenty of big guns like this one, a kill cannon I think, that might be used to kit bash some more mech guns. I have many spare wheels for bodging up some gun carriages too. Finally, in a big bag of bits, random bits, I got this whopper of a gun. A Forge World super cannon, I believe. There were not many other bits from that kit with the bits, but I could probably kit bash something up to make the mount for the gun. So that will be some fun for later. That will just about wrap up this little excursion into my hoard of opportunity as it stands now at the beginning of this project. I won't dig out all the orc boys and plastic knobs I have, because I am sure there are no surprises there for most of you in those sprues. So all that is left to do now is tally up all that my pile will build as it is now. It is. Notably, it is heavy with knobs and pretty heavy with bikes too. The total number of boys might be a little inflated because I've only counted the torsos rather than every little bit. I am pretty sure I have a surplus of heads and arms and guns, but it is likely I do not have quite enough legs to go around. I will keep an eye out for sure for more leg bits on eBay to be sure. Of course, this will not take us to 12,001 on its own, so there will be plenty of buying to do yet. Next episode we will look at the squad I am painting now. Some lovely old Rogue Trader treasures, so subscribe and hit the notification bell for that. Cheerio!